take first watch.
Hello, and welcome to an all-new episode of the First Watch podcast. I'm Zach, and I'm here with Cole and Morgan. How are you guys doing?
We out here.
I got a touch of consumption, but I'll be fine.
Hmm.
Consumption, what is that, like tuberculosis?
First
Uh,
clue.
Today, we're here to talk about an ongoing trend of good, creative, formally interesting, compellingly written horror films of this particular year. I feel like we've always talked about that, Cole, in years
Yeah.
past. We talk about how horror has this presence in the box office and an ability to hang around even when other things aren't. We saw that, kind of burst open with Megan 2.0 this year, a movie that we've made fun of a few times, but kind of a box office thing in January when it came out. Yada, yada, yada. This year, I feel like we've actually seen horror in that mainstream category as the main box office draw of a given week.
Yeah.
And this week, we're talking about Zach Cregger's Weapons, a movie that maybe to that point, right, was in like a bidding war, and Jordan Peele lost the bidding war. So it's in that
And
kind
and
of vein.
fired his company.
Yeah. He fired his agents because he was so upset that he couldn't get the rights to it to
And
produce.
now we've got him coming from that, which we talked a little bit about last week. But yeah, that's Weapons by Zach Cregger, his follow-up to Barbarian, which we're excited to talk about. I think reactions are all over the map. I've seen really, really high praise. I've seen people like, kind of in the middle, and then I've seen people totally out on it. I'm sure we'll have a chance to talk about other people's opinions in addition to our own. Just because both of these two Cregger movies have been pretty buzzy so far, and what people think about them and the reactions people have walking out, I think are a meaningful part of what he's trying to do as an artist. Before we dip into all that, we of course will talk about some stuff that we've been watching lately. One little trend that Cole and I had going on the previous round of this pod was to always sort of nominate our five-star recent watches. Like if in the period between our recording we watched a five-star movie, it's a good chance to get to talk about things other than just new releases because we like to talk about new releases. But sometimes it's fun, if you go see Cole, what's the last five-star movie you went and saw on 35 millimeter or something?
Oh, Singing in the Rain.
Singing in the Rain. Sometimes it's fun just to talk about Singing in the Rain in addition to all this new stuff. So in the interest of that, today I just went and saw Throne of Blood by Akira Kurosawa, but for reasons that I will divulge momentarily, I don't want to talk too much about it because next week we're actually going to recap a little bit of this Kurosawa 4K restoration series that's been out. We're going to have Davey on and we're going to talk about both Throne of Blood and Ran, the two major Jidaigeki Shakespeare adaptations by Akira Kurosawa. There may be some butting of heads. There was a little bit of behind the scenes butting of heads
Uh,
earlier about which one reigns supreme. So
It's
we'll
it's
argue about all
it's
that
just
next
in,
week.
it's
some
just
people have
interesting
bad
how
opinions. That's okay.
it's not even so much bad opinions. It's just how some people decided to phrase certain things
Some
that
people just showing up to stir the pot
you
and
go, uh-uh, that's bait.
I'm trying to think if I had any others. Oh yeah, I also the other five-star that I had was High and Low, which was another Kurosawa rewatch. So I'll save that a little bit. And then I saw Redbeard for the first time and hit that with five stars. So Akira Kurosawa has been kind of
Good
my
movie.
uh North Star for the month and things that I've been rewatching. Really enjoyed Redbeard. Had no idea what it was about going into it. I knew that it was another kind of historical piece, Toshiro Mifune. So I assumed swords. No, it's a medical drama. Although at one point he does beat the hell out of like 10 guys in a city street like he's Yojimbo. He's just like breaking bones and snapping necks and stuff. It's awesome. So that's a movie that definitely presages your like ER Grey's Anatomy, which makes it sound really cheap and silly, but it's like maybe MASH would be another good example, like a medical drama where
Yeah.
after the 3 hours of the movie was over, I was like, "Where's season two? Just keep telling me stories about these guys in this hospital because it's really compelling. It's really humanistic. It's one of his more, I think Akira Kurosawa is kind of a big softie if you watch like Ikiru, but it's just a very compassionate, humanistic kind of movie. Also, the last one he ever made with Toshiro Mifune.
It was a very
Oh,
contentious 2 year shoot. So
Yeah. Kurosawa will be a topic of discussion next week. There's also certain Spike Lee pictures based on Akira Kurosawa movies that may or may not come to the fore. The other stuff to mention for me, some of this I'm sure Cole you've also got some opinions on. I'll save one of them for you. You'll know which one it is. I did see Together, which
Mm.
has both Alison Brie and Dave Franco. It's a neon release body horror movie about codependency. Do you have any strong opinions on this, Cole? This kind
It,
of
it
in one ear
was,
and out the other.
yeah, it was okay. It's like baby's first body horror, which I thought was fine.
Yeah, some
But
some good moments, but nothing that's like mind-blowing. But it felt like a 12-minute short film to me. Like
yeah,
the idea is very one layer. There's not a lot of extra bells and whistles to it. So you get to the cool bits of imagery and then we can like get out of here. The marketing campaign has been more interesting than the movie
yeah,
was.
absolutely. I mean, the only reason I saw it when I did was because I got a video on my timeline of Dave Franco wringing Alison Brie's gym towel and drinking the sweat out of it.
I
Which,
don't,
again, like just water clearly states. But I was like, oh yeah, guess I should go see that tonight.
yeah.
And then I saw it, and there was a Q and A with the two of them afterwards.
Oh,
So
was there anything good at the Q&A?
he's definitely shorter than he says he is. That's all I'm going to say about that. And yeah, no, Allison Brie knows how to work a crowd.
The only other two that I have to mention were movies that I watched kind of back to back. New release wise, just last night, I watched War of the Worlds 2025, starring Ice Cube and Eva
Tough.
Longoria.
Absolutely tough.
I think I've logged 50 2025 movies, or that's about how many I have on that list. Not and a crazy amount, fewer than Cole, fewer than Davey for sure. And I have two half-star movies on it. It's not a rating I delight in handing out necessarily. The other one was for the Russo Bros, The Electric State,
Ooh.
which I definitely found more unpleasant than this. War of the Worlds is like awful, but I had a great time.
It is wildly entertaining.
Like, I mean, it's unfriended, right? It's like a movie where Ice Cube is doing what we're doing right now. He's like looking at Zoom or whatever. He's looking at Microsoft Teams and doing, I mean, doesn't seem to know the lines. Just does this like glasses off reaction a bunch of times. Um, there's one point where what's he's trying to like send something on Amazon Prime. There's like an Amazon, it like stops to do an Amazon Prime, Amazon Air ad in the middle of the movie. Just really funny stuff. Really over the top funny stuff.
The funny thing about this movie is that it was announced all the way back in September 2020 as a way to make a movie during COVID times, as like an alternative to traditional studio production. And it took this long to come out when, well, we don't need to make movies like that anymore.
Yeah.
And I'll be frank, we didn't need to make movies like that then.
No,
No, we did not. We did not.
but yeah.
Really, like inherently anti-cinematic work there. I haven't seen the
Yeah.
film, but like just I also thought Searching fucking sucked. So
Yeah. Not a huge fan. What was the other one that he did after that?
Missing,
Missing. And then I think somewhere I think it was
Kind of
Jake
fun.
dredging around and realizing like Timur Bekmambetov, the Russian filmmaker, is
Mhm.
the guy that has like produced all of this, including this new War of the Worlds movie. He's the one behind Zoom Cinema.
shout out Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter for being a movie
My
that
God.
I used to own that movie on Blu-ray. And I don't know what that says about me or anything really.
Seems like a waste of plastic, honestly.
Yeah. I really liked that book when I read it at 14 years of age.
I
So,
mean, it sounds like the exact kind of thing a 14-year-old should like. So,
yeah, I didn't really like it then either. It was like this is odd. I think that was a Christmas present and I was like, "Ooh, they made a movie out of the book I like." And then I watched the movie and it was
uh,
substandard.
The last movie I have to mention is relevant to books in the same, Throne of Blood, that Shakespeare. We had a screening just this Friday for the 30th anniversary, which I think, Cole, you also got a similar screening, if not the same print, of Amy Heckerling's Clueless, which is from 1995, played on 35 millimeter here.
mhm.
And That is, I don't even know. I haven't read Jane Austen's Emma in a hot second. I cannot speak to how it's obviously it's a 90-minute teen comedy. So it's like a riff on Emma. It is kind of loose, but it honestly hits most of the characters and plot beats of Emma. I would consider it a fairly, faithful adaptation to that source material, and it's something that takes, maybe what you would think of as like the mannered comedy romantic entanglements of a Jane Austen novel, and then applying that to like 90s LA, super fashion driven, funny teen comedy, so that you kind of get like the frivolousness of like girl going to the mall, spending her dad's money with the credit card, mixed with the social dynamics that exist in a high school setting, where you've got like this clique or that clique, or don't bother with that guy. He's of low social standing. Anyway, very extremely funny movie, very quotable. Probably not, people always say it's probably not something you could make today. I don't think that you could. I know they do like Euphoria, and I know Euphoria exists, but like the degree of sexuality with this subject matter almost felt a little like, huh, well, I feel like it's been a long time since I've seen a movie that was like this.
I enjoy Clueless in a limited fashion. I think the cast is spectacular, and it's obviously very well put together. Got Bill Pope behind the camera; he's cooking. The Paul Rudd Silverstone thing makes me uncomfy, and
Do you
I
also
wish it
feel
was
this way about the Royal Tenenbaums?
Uh,
Just out of
yes.
curiosity,
And
they'd make a
it's
great
a
double.
yeah, I'll be honest, it's a little more potent there, even though I prefer that film overall.
I
It's just
think
is that what happens in Emma? Is that why that's there?
let me dial back. In Royal Tenenbaums, I think that element of the story is necessary and uncomfortable. Like it's both. Like it's they can't be together because X, right? And yet XYZ. In this one, you really look at it and go, man, you have changed so much of the setting and so much of the story. Did you have to make it so that they were siblings? They couldn't have been neighbors. They couldn't have been, he was her
Childhood
tutor,
best friends. I don't know.
something, anything other than this. Again, it's been too long since I've read Emma to remember, but the setup is they were briefly step siblings. Then the parents divorced. His mother has since remarried. They are like legally still like not siblings, but they are, but they're not. And I think like it adds an element of like what? And I guess it starts them off in a dynamic where they're kind of pecking at each other and flirty, but in a way where you don't really see them getting together. And I feel like that's an Austen-y thing. Like in Pride and Prejudice, that exists because Mr. Darcy is an asshole. Like he's got a heart of gold, but he's like a dickhead. So you're like, oh yeah, these two are never going to be together. And then when they get together, you're like, oh, it's that, basically, is what
I
they're
think the
aiming at.
thing with whether or not you can make Clueless today, a lot of storytelling for teens has moved to Netflix and streaming. It's The Summer I Turned Pretty and Jenny and Georgia and all that stuff. Because one of Clueless's best qualities is that everyone in it is rich, but there's still some empathy to them. It's like, which was Amy Heckerling's discovery while she was writing this, was that, wait, I actually have a lot of sympathy for Cher. Like, I get where
Yeah,
she's coming from, which I don't know if that necessarily would fly as much in 2025, especially if I'm being honest, in a post Real Housewives of Beverly Hills world, because it's a movie as much about the west side of LA and the wealthy, affluent part of it more than anything else. Like there's a great line, like, you think you get offended when people think you live south of Sunset. Like,
it's a very LA movie. I think there's also just a time capsule quality to it. Obviously,
yeah.
like it is a very mid 90s. It
Hmm.
wouldn't have even it wouldn't have even looked the same by 1999, kind of mid
Yeah.
90s.
Yeah. Like the
But
shopping mall she goes to, that doesn't exist anymore.
exactly what I'm thinking. Like there's there's an extended bit where Cher is really laying into like the men of this age and how lazy they are with fashion. And as I was looking at it, I was like, all these guys, like today, these guys would be considered fashionable. Not like they're dressed up for work, but like that they have
Uh-huh.
like a fit going on. And
Hmm.
she's saying that it's like so lazy, they just throw a baseball cap on. I'm like, if anything, this has only degraded more. The fashion sense of like 20, you couldn't make the movie now, like in that way. People don't give a fuck about this anymore. I don't feel like you know what I mean? It was an interesting screening to go to because all the girls that are there, and it was a much more balanced ratio of men to women than it usually is at a repertory 35 millimeter screening in this town. They're all dressed up, right? And
Mhm.
it's part of that movie, but I just don't even think that exists anymore. There's so much of it that just it's kind of in the wind.
Yeah,
They're just
now
wearing Lululemon fucking tights, like
yeah, now it would just be like going to Century City Mall to buy a Labubu or something like.
yeah, there's just nothing. I don't
And
know.
like our fashion icons are Billie Eilish, who dresses like she's on the corner in The Wire.
Yeah, I don't know.
This is I
uh,
also think like we have women directed high school films that feature young women in lead roles today, but you know they're Bottoms and Booksmart, and those movies are trying to be super bad for some reason, and like that's where the attention and the money is right now. And you can say a lot of things about Clueless. It's definitely not like super bad. It would behoove Hollywood to diversify that portfolio a little bit. Just
Yeah,
because, like, neither of those movies, I liked Booksmart pretty well. Um, neither of those movies have recaptured Superbad's runaway success, and B, I don't really think either of them. I haven't seen Bottoms actually. I don't think Booksmart is as good as Superbad, but Booksmart is maybe a little funnier in times, but it's kind of just the same thing, but like instead of being dumbasses, they're really smart. There's a lot of money to be made in making a decent high school movie
yeah.
still and not dumping it on the streaming grounds.
Using a literary jumping off point for this is not something that you have to repeat, but it's a good example of how to take this and sort of heighten it, where there are these familiar elements. There's like, Cole, you were kind of talking about the LA cultural, like this neighborhood, that neighborhood, that's XYZ, or the era. But then there's also this like it's just allowed to be a little heightened. She's hooking up her teachers and getting her report card edited in ways that aren't as grounded. I feel like that's sort of the approach of Superbad, is it's trying to like make like a really like this is what high school is like, direct portal into that sort of thing. And that is, I don't know, it's very much the story of like the 2000s and the 2010s is like let's take as much artifice out of this as we can and give you like the real it's Batman in Chicago. He's just doing stuff and we're learning to heighten things again. We're learning how to make things that are like
And that
fun.
harkens back to like Freaks and Geeks, which
mhm.
from the television perspective of things, which I think would also something like that, but for like 2003 would also go over really well, even if they
Mhm.
do decide to make it a TV show.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're not trying very hard in some in certain areas. I would
Yeah,
like
I
to.
know Euphoria's out there. That's like the one thing I can think of that's in this realm right now.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
it's so like heroin chic that
Yeah.
it's like
also, like
not.
by the time we get to the new season, they will all
Right.
have graduated from college at that point.
That's
Jacob
that's
Elordi
a
will
good
be
point.
old enough to run for president.
We can't the children, obviously Stranger Things being the gold standard of this, the current model of TV production really does not help the inherent issue of my child cast is aging, or
Hmm.
teenage
Yeah.
cast or whatever. That's another one of
Neither
those
of those
clueless
productions
things
have
though.
helped themselves at all.
But that's another aspect of Clueless. I mean, they're young, but they're not. I think she's playing like a 15-year-old or a 16-year-old, and she's clearly in her 20s. It's just I there's that heightened aspect, that where Superbad, again, those actors are older than they're playing, but I don't think Christopher Mintz-Plasse was that much older. Like the goal was to make it feel like Jonah Hill and Michael Cera and those guys were like in high school versus like Carrie where it's like Sissy Spacek is 32 years old
Yeah.
playing a high school girl.
All of our high schoolers now are being played by people visibly in their mid 20s, which is
Yeah.
fine, you know.
I think
It's
that, yeah,
just
I think
like
that
it.
works. It depends.
Yeah. I mean, you can't be like cinema verite about it in the way that like Euphoria tries
Right.
so hard to be.
Hmm.
Hmm.
But there's also multiple angles wrong with Euphoria's approach to that. Um,
And yet it is a
Being that
source
I'm
of
not,
living art.
I don't really, I know that these people are of age, obviously, but I don't care for you trying to titillate me by showing me two teenagers boning.
That is an aspect. I mean, Clueless does not have two teenagers boning, but it is sexually suggestive in a way where I'm like, huh, yeah, I don't think it would, I don't think people would write this way anymore.
No.
Where it's also like the broad comedy and like everybody watches it, it's funny, haha. While also, I don't know, it's just it really feels like something that doesn't exist anymore, for better or worse.
Yeah, and it's so like in the tradition of, well, I mean, of Amy Heckerling features
Hmm.
and screenplays.
Hmm.
That it just it comes a little
Breckenmeyer
bit
literally
later.
looks like Sean Penn in
Yeah.
the like it's the
Um,
same character.
Yeah.
and it's literally just like a decade after that and captures that time in such a vivid way that the same that like Fast Times at Ridgemont High did. So and
Mhm.
like I feel like thing stuff like that when it does get made kind of does do that pretty well. Like Booksmart feels very 2018. I just don't
Oh
find that
yeah.
I just don't find that to be a pleasurable association. So
I think maybe
it's
eighth grade comes off a little bit more 2018, and
yeah,
Booksmart always to me, I maybe I just see too far behind the curtain. Olivia Wilde is older than I am, and there is something very, to me, Booksmart felt like high school when I was in high school, in the same way that Superbad did almost. Like it felt 2010, which was an interesting little schism because obviously it is very much set in 2018, 2019 when it came out, but it felt older than that, or like from a previous decade.
Yeah, I guess it's just a matter of time, really, to see when someone will capture what high school was like in the mid 2010s.
Yeah.
yeah.
Someone that's not a Spider-Man movie.
It'll be people my age, and
Hmm.
none of us have any money yet. So
And I guess like Bottoms was closest to capturing like that love of absurdism.
I don't care for Rachel Sennett, so I have a hard pass. And that's
She's
not even like I don't think I've seen a movie with her in it. I just don't care for her vibe.
she's not the strong point of Bottoms, but she is okay in it.
It's just I think if you're in Bodies, your vibe is a little tainted to me.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
another movie I hard skipped.
Another movie that I like that no one else in here does.
bad. Both bad.
Well, I've been on the quest for the top 250 of Letterboxd. He's opened the search menu on Letterboxd Mobile, and there's a drop down, and it shows you like the top 250 narrative features. And I want to watch all of those, or at least all of those that I don't have to watch some rinky-dinky ass anime to understand.
Right.
Um,
Pray that they'll just be off the list by the time you get there.
inshallah. I was at about 120 of those before starting the journey, and right now my priority was to clear out things that I owned but had not seen yet. So that included 2001: A Space Odyssey, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, Stalker, A Woman Under the Influence, Malcolm X, and Yojimbo. I also threw in Yi and The Wages of Fear in there, which I don't own but were fairly accessible to me. I ran out of breath.
Breathless.
Hey,
Mid.
Stop.
Um,
wrong,
Stop.
wrong,
um, so
wrong.
the two heavy hitters that I've gotten so far from this journey are Malcolm X, Spike Lee's biopic about the black civil rights leader in the 50s and 60s. Utterly and completely bowled over by this. It's one of the best looking films of that decade. It was even knocked over by how good it looked doing just like Scorsese riffs in
Mhm.
the first hour. Um, there's a there's a dance scene in that opening hour that is like, why hasn't this dude made a full-on musical? Just really like mind-blowing stuff. Denzel gives one of the best performances I've ever seen in anything.
He's so
Um,
good.
fucking riveted for 3 hours and 20 minutes or whatever it was.
Mostly, I would say it's smarter to do a biopic that takes place in like 3 days. Just
Yeah,
find some point of the story that you want to tell about. And if you need to flash back or homage to other important things, do what you need to do. The kind of Forrest Gump style of storytelling, sorry for even using that, but I feel like everybody can relate to what I mean, is like he was born and we saw his whole fucking life on screen, right? That's not common, and I think it's hard to do, and it's exactly what Malcolm X does at the highest possible level. It's like,
I
okay. Throw the rule
I
book out.
like
It's
in
fine.
terms of like a film that would properly be called a biopic, don't think there's a better one. There's obviously films that are based on true events that I would say are on this level and perhaps even better, but about things that are about one important figure, you know, or at least, of figures that we have in recorded times, because like you could argue The Passion of Joan of Arc is a biopic.
Yeah, I know what you mean though. Like where you're actually doing like their biography. I think the two that end up near like would be like Raging Bull and
Yeah.
then Schindler's List to the extent that you even like because it's a real guy. But neither one is I something again like going to the idea of like the rule book and like pick a short period of time. Something that really works in Raging Bull, I think, is like Jake LaMotta is this iconic figure, but it's not trying to do like Muhammad Ali. It's not trying to do this guy who I have all these specific associations with. Malcolm X is like as difficult, like it's as high of a degree of difficulty as you can get in every area, and he's just like, I'm just gonna do this like it's easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he gets the like 3.5 hour runtime. Could have benefited from being like 45 minutes longer, frankly.
Right, right.
Um,
Yeah, maybe
it
the
just
Irishman would come into this somewhere. Sorry for interrupting,
yeah,
but yeah, just
Wolf
was
of
thinking
Wall
about that
Street.
runtime.
I mean, it's such a like Scorsese movie about a figure
Totally.
that Scorsese is never
Or is not
gonna
equipped to
make.
talk about in the
Yeah,
same way.
is
Mhm.
not equipped and probably not even particularly interested in talking about.
Right.
Yeah, it's just sort of it's a supernova of a film, and I'm very glad that I
Yeah.
experienced it on the 4K Criterion disc that I
Yeah.
purchased.
Gorgeous.
Um,
Sad news about this. They're playing, with the exception of He Got Game, they're playing all of the Denzel Spike Lee collaborations in theaters.
mm,
And this one is happening at precisely the same time I'm seeing Ran next Sunday.
Oh
And I'm
God.
like,
yeah,
Tough.
golly, I would rather I like Malcolm X more. It's been a longer time since I've seen it, but I'm going to the Kurosawa one and I'm like, I this is terrible.
TUFF.
Yeah, tough.
Um,
So I'll probably watch that 4K at some point that I also
uh,
own.
just to very briefly summarize my thoughts on the films in this quest that I've undergone that I haven't five-starred. 2001: Space Odyssey, pretty good, pretty great movie. Um, at a bit of an arm's distance with it. It has that Kubrick coldness that I don't 100% glom onto, with the exception of something like Eyes Wide Shut and The Shining, where I think it's like perfectly suited to the material. I watched The Good, Bad, and the Ugly, which is also on a 4K disc, and so was 2001. Both of those are excellent transfers, like some of the best that you can buy. I didn't find myself all that involved in the plot of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, but it's like such a bravura of filmmaking on screen performance kind of thing that's like you see it and like even if you're not 100% on board with it in the way that so many people are, you're like, okay, I understand how this has the reputation that it has. I watched Tarkovsky's Stalker on a Criterion disc, also a great transfer. Dude doing mind-blowing stuff with like color grading in that. So it was good to see that in a prime fashion. I actually read Roadside Picnic, the book that this is based off of, and you know, thought it was all right. It spends a lot of time not being about the thing that I find most
Yeah.
interesting about that premise. That is the same edition I have. It's okay. And I did like the movie a good bit more, but I'm also at a bit of an arm's length with it, but in a way that I feel like will be remedied on later watches because I was not ready for just how ponderous parentheses pause this that Stalker was. Even though I
Yeah.
probably should have been, considering its reputation, but it's also something that's difficult to sink your teeth into.
That movie's opening shot where you're in the monochrome in their house and it's just like them in the bed. And I think he like gets out of bed and he's like putting socks on. It's like fucking it goes on for 13 minutes. I don't know how long it actually goes on for, but it's just it immediately you're like, "Oh, okay, it's gonna be one of those."
That's the beauty of
Yeah.
sculpting time,
Mhm.
which is his core philosophy on filmmaking.
I think it's the movie where you can feel the most influence on like Bellatar. If you watch like Bellatar's Damnation, it's
Oh
very
yeah.
stalkery. Obviously, there's no science fiction elements to that movie. It's just like the way that it is. That's like my
Um,
least favorite of the Tarkovsky masterpieces, which all that really means is like I get where you're coming from. I feel a little itchy when I watch it. Just, it's whatever, 2 hours, 40 minutes. And there's just multiple stretches of it where I'm like, yeah, okay. I know it has to be paced like this, but like I'm ready for the next thing to happen.
I started Solaris before this, and then passed out about 30 minutes into it. And then I was like, fuck it. This book's like 200 pages. I'm just going to go back and read that before I watch the movie. And that has been rewarding already, and I'm only like a third of the way through it.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to getting to that. I watched Edward Yang's Yi Yi, also very good. You don't need me to tell you it's very good. Watch Yojimbo, which same story there. I find it on a similar level of quality as A Fistful of Dollars and
Yeah,
the overall
I agree.
Dollars trilogy. But just like Kurosawa is doing things with like blocking that
Hmm.
just
Are just a little beyond Leo. Leone has
yeah.
a little bit like of a better. Yeah, I was just talking about the itchy Tarkovsky thing. Leone's a Western fucking not like the genre, like the region, Western filmmaker, where like his shit just moves. Even when it's 3 hours long, you're just like, damn, okay, all right. And Kurosawa is an immaculate entertainer, and sometimes his movies are like that, but usually they're a little bit more paced out. Yojimbo is a movie that feels like it should be 100 minutes and it's over 2 hours and it never lags, but it's very steady. And I feel like that's kind of where Leone makes up the gap between the two of them.
Mm.
Yeah, I was surprised at like having seen Dollars first relative to it. I was surprised at how much of Yojimbo takes place indoors because
Mhm.
Leone captures vistas and environments, outdoor environments so spectacularly. Um, like Yojimbo is a lot of dudes hunched over in their huts scheming, which
Right.
is
Like
also
the little
great.
like the boards, these
Yeah.
little gaps in the thing.
And I watched The Wages of Fear.
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah.
Um, I will give it to this one over Sorcerer, but I find them to be like almost on the completely opposite ends of the spectrum of what this kind of movie can be.
Yeah.
About equally thrilling, but like Wages of Fear is so much more character and like narrative, and Sorcerer is so much like moving parts. And it was interesting to watch both. I came away feeling relatively the same about them in my reaction.
Mhm.
So yeah, spectacular work. And the last thing I'll mention is the other five star, which was a Woman Under the Influence by John Cassavetes and Gina Rowlands.
Yep, yep.
Um, I don't ever want to see that shit again.
Yeah. Big same, buddy. Big same.
And you've seen it twice.
The second time in theaters, and it
Woo!
it it was like I want to leave.
And
Yeah.
that did require some nudging from me, being
Yeah.
like,
It inspired the creation of my current most recent letterbox list, which is the "Y'all Gotta Get Me the Fuck Out of Here" canon,
Yeah.
um, which already has more likes than any other list I've ever made on
Yeah.
that platform.
Hard to
I
describe. Real
yeah,
unpleasant.
yeah. The biggest note I have is that it's been described to me time and again as the Gina Rowlands show, and it clearly is. Peter Falk is just as good,
he's
opposite her. Um, the two of them are like two supernovas that are trying to eat each other on screen, and it's like electrifying and uncomfortable and horrifying, and it's one of the greatest movies I've ever seen, and I get that away from me. Never again.
it's a movie about being Italian.
Getting all the boys over and having spaghetti at 8 a.m.
Motherfuckers named Longheady. That is made up.
Hmm.
This movie, I feel like not only do I have a tough stomach, but it's almost like a joke reputation among, like whenever I'm talking to Davey or something. They're playing Dancer in the Dark next month at the Texas Theater. I will be there. You know what I mean? Like I like some shit. This was so unpleasant that I rated it 3 stars the first time I watched it. And I think it was based on how much I wanted it to be over the entire time. And it's not a movie that is very structured, right? It's very I don't want to call it improvisational, but Cassavetes just has an improvisational style. Get in front of the camera, let the characters do what they got to do, let the scene go on for as long as it needs to, and it's like, Jesus, I gotta go. I gotta get out of here. Which I was much more in tune with and impressed by the second time, and just seriously don't make me watch that movie again.
Yeah,
Which might be a
I
five star in somebody's eyes, just
um
based on that criteria.
I'd be much
Eh,
more keen to see something like that or Dancer in the Dark in the theater when I
Hmm.
don't really have any opportunity to run away or look away from it or get on my phone or anything, and just really be
mhm.
like involved in
Trapped.
the experience of it.
It it
'Cause like
avoids any sense of like, oh, this part of it's just dragging on. You because you feel it, you know that there's an intention. You know that there's a kind of
there is
electricity.
no part of the movie that is not dragging on.
Right.
So you're either in
Mhm.
for the ride on that or sometimes you're in for the ride for that and also not at the
I
same time.
I think one of the
Mm.
precursors to this, they were both just movies that played in theaters, but I saw opening night in
Hmm.
theaters also, which is similarly kind of shaggy in some ways, but like, gosh, that was immediate. It's not the same kind of thing at all. I mean, it is and it isn't. You would immediately recognize like, oh, here are these key similar points and themes and energies that it's got going on, but it's not this like domestic pressure cooker movie. It's like a stage actress, and it's that kind of a pressure cooker movie.
Either get to that or Solaris next on the top 250 quest because I own both of those. Really, really looking forward to that. But yeah, that's about it for me.
Well, over on my end, good news, everybody. Comedy is finally legal again, and it's in the form of the Naked Gun.
Yeah.
Uh, Zip it.
All right.
It's a podcast. Shut up.
Is it
Uh,
legal? I don't know. Should we have made it legal? Is there still time to filibuster? I don't know.
Directed by Cuba Schaefer of, Lonely Island, Pop Star Never Stop Stopping. This movie's about Frank Drebin Jr., who's played by Liam Neeson, and he's wrapped up in a murder conspiracy involving a wealthy industrialist and of course, every noir needs a dangerous woman. In this case, played by Pamela Anderson, um, fully willing at the top of her game. And I'll be honest, I have not laughed so hard in a theater since Barbie. It was just hysterical.
That feels like a good comparison point. Like, yeah, yeah, okay, got it.
It's completely absurd, so silly. Under 90 minutes, you're
Uh,
in and you're
that's the best part of it for sure. It is nice and crisp.
and
It's
Neeson is so fucking funny.
and admittedly, like this is the Zucker Abraham Zucker methodology, but it is very much like, what if I threw as many jokes per second at you as possible? Great central gag performance by Liam Neeson, I believe directly inspired by Ted or Ted 2, whichever one of those he showed up in, where the idea is it's kind of like, we've all seen Liam Neeson been doing this since The Gray in like
Mhm.
2010 and Taken, where he does this like intense brooding action star thing. And he's basically just doing that in this very silly movie. So he's
Mhm.
just playing his character super duper straight, super duper Liam Neeson-y, and getting the joke out of that. And it's pretty good. Although that there's
It-
been like this uptick of like reels and TikToks of him talking about like Qui-Gon Jinn died in a namby-pamby way in Phantom Menace. I'm like, I find this funnier than I found the movie. It's just watching this guy riff.
I mean, it's the same exact career turn that Leslie Nielsen had, going
Yeah,
from 70s thrillers to The Naked Gun and just embracing the absurdity of it all while being completely deadpan.
yep.
Uh, Danny Houston's also hilarious in this movie. Every single time he says Pamela Anderson's fake character name, completely serious, kills me.
Danny
There's just
Houston is funny in very serious roles,
Yeah,
just
Mhm.
like as a result of him. Like he's hysterical in Birth, and I don't think I
hysterical.
laugh during that movie.
Uh, I saw that in theaters, and yeah, the particular scene where Danny Houston starts to lose it in that movie. There's just like a child kicking his chair. It's like, man, this is
Yeah,
one of the funniest guys we got.
Yeah,
I
I
I
thought
think
it was hilarious and I had a great time.
I think I will be seeing this Thursday of this week. Unsure of that, but I'll definitely see it at some point. Um,
Absolutely worth seeing with the crowd.
we can we can break this tie of
Yeah,
pr pro or four. on this
nothing
podcast next
nothing of
episode.
value to contribute to this other than like, sometimes something's a skip, but it had such positive word of mouth, figured it would be worth to see it with like a crowd. They had a great time. I'm happy for you. Just
It
couldn't
didn't.
be farther from my thing. We're here to talk about a very funny movie today, so I don't want to hear it about like, oh, he doesn't like comedy. No, I love comedy. Just this is not my brand of comedy.
Uh,
And that's, it's fickle. I do think that is one of the more fickle genres out there.
mhm.
And if we were to have like a broader topic, because you were like, the studio comedy is fucking
Dead.
really on fumes at best. And I think people my age have contributed a lot to that, have contributed a lot to like, I don't really like this kind of movie. I don't really want to go see this kind of movie. And like the comedy being Avengers, right? Is like the Joss Whedon quippy whatever, like that being the comedy that everybody goes and sees in July or May or whatever.
Yeah,
So
exactly. All of you millennials, all your Loki fanfic, this is your fault.
fine. Welcome back. I think, yeah, I don't know. Lonely Island also just none of it. All of it going into it was like, I don't really like that ingredient or that ingredient or that ingredient. I should order one and see if I like this. Oh,
Sometimes ingredients come together and it's just
yeah,
it's a harmony of
yeah,
ratatouille type beat.
right.
And they definitely came together for this one. There's an extended bit with a snowman. That's all I'm going to say. And it is maybe the hardest I've laughed all year.
I think the hardest I've laughed all year is the OJ joke in these trailers, which I laugh at
Yeah.
every single time.
It was fucking incredible. Let's see, what else have I watched? On a much less positive note for me personally, I recently checked in with the Netflix sensation K-pop Demon Hunters,
Oh yeah.
which came out in June. It has just become like their big success story this year. This is an animated film from Sony Pictures Animation about a girl group trio in K-pop. Rumi, Jinu, and Mira, who are part of the girl group Hunter X, who are K-pop stars by day, demon hunters by night, keeping the world safe from demons taking people's souls and eating them. Uh, in this film, the main character Rumi is struggling to come to terms with her identity as half human, half demon, while the group also has to compete with another rivaling band, a boy band, actually, the Saja Boys, who kind of have like a BTS thing going on to them, who are actually demons trying to use their popularity and their addictive music to take over the world and give everyone's souls to hell. Well, not hell, but you know what I mean, technically. It's just not my thing. I love pop
Yeah,
music.
there's a lot going on there.
I'm getting a
Very,
little sleepy from that description. I was like, wow, I need an Adderall to watch this movie.
yeah, I mean, K-pop is not my thing. It's just too mechanical and artificial for me. And I feel like this movie has a very confused sense of what that even means. Like, is K-pop like this thing that's secretly saving the world or whatever? Or is it just like this ruthless machine that eats people up and spits them out like clockwork?
Yeah,
The answer is yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, but they're not going to admit that.
No, no, I don't
They're
suppose they
Stream
really
would.
supporting that audience.
stream Perfect Blue by Satoshi Kon for more information.
It's not the worst thing in the world. It's just not my speed, personally.
Yeah, I had a
I
couple of.
just,
I thought about watching that a couple times, but I'm like, I know it's similar to Naked Gun. I'm like, I know I won't like this. Like, I'm giving this a try in earnest, knowing what the conclusion will be.
there seems like there'd be a world where I like three-star this, but like I just want to spend an hour and 15 minutes doing something else.
Hmm.
So I'm never going to watch this.
And then, I mean, I'm gonna skip over the rest of the new releases mainly because there's like nothing really too much of note. Like I watched Smurfs last night on a whim, and I was like, oh my god, there's nothing here. Nothing.
Zendaya is Michi.
Mm, Rihanna is Smurfette. That album's never coming. Give it up.
Yeah.
This is the
Uh,
album or EP, I guess.
uh,
Are they kind of on the same cycle with Smurfs as they are with Fantastic Four? where like, every 10 years we reboot it. Like I'm just wondering, is Zendaya going to be Smurfette in the
What?
future? How
Well,
washed is she when she agrees to be Smurfette?
well, right now she's busy voicing Shrek's daughter in Shrek 5, so
So maybe it's not a good metric for how washed you are, the
yeah.
nature of what animated voice work you're willing to do.
Yeah,
Because
no.
there's something that just screams complete has-been energy from doing these Smurfs movies.
Because Katy Perry voiced Smurfette, but she did it at the height of her success,
And then what happened?
right in the middle of the Teenage Dream era. Demi Lovato voiced Smurfette right when she was having a major comeback moment. Although she's basically always having a major comeback moment. That woman's career is a valley of ups and downs.
What a strange person. I hope they are well.
They're back to making pop music. It's fun. Stream fast.
I also think they're back to being a she. So
I think what it was is that she got tired of explaining it to everybody. So
that's actually so relatable.
she's giving it. You can call me she. I don't care. Uh, but yeah, no, awful movie. Just not really anything going to it. And then I watched Basic Instinct for the first time today, and that fucking rocked. So
I don't think I knew the second part of that. That was the first time your Paul Verhoeven loving ass ever watched Basic
yeah,
Instinct?
I know. Sometimes
Okay.
I'm hold on to the treasures.
I I'm just surprised.
I
I
don't
would
think I
have
ever.
thought that was some shit you watched when you were like 14 and were like locked the fuck in with Jan de Bont's camera work.
I think my mother would have lost her fucking mind if she saw me watching that at 14.
My review of Basic Instinct is as follows. Gene triple horn. That's it.
She's so good in that.
Like at third billing, just
Yeah,
crushing it.
but she's playing like she's Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Sharon's
Um,
doing all kinds of work in that movie. God bless her. Incredible.
I it feels like a movie that I've seen it like 3 times, and I still feel like I'm not old enough to watch it. Um, it feels like doing blow, presumably.
I mean, Joe Esterhaus did like a mountain of cocaine while writing that script, I bet. So,
You have to be on some kind of like upper to write the line that magna cum laude pussy done fried your brain up. You have to be that doesn't come to you in a zen sober state.
the idea of someone, like showing off what's in between her legs, followed by Wayne Knight visibly sweating, would
And
only come
when
from a cokehead.
How mad do you think Brian De Palma is that he didn't make it?
Oh, I'm sure he's
Because he's
furious.
just been doing that same Vertigo riff forever. And this is
Mhm.
like, yeah. Anyway,
And this is the one that pops off and becomes like a $350 million.
right.
dollar.
I imagine Douglas and Stone are really the keys to that.
Yeah.
Michael Douglas, like one of the weirdest movie stars to me. Not like he's just when you think about him, you're like, really? Okay. He was like a huge star? Yeah, huge.
Mhm.
Enormous.
Yeah.
Undeniable. And I mean, I get it. He's Kirk Douglas's kid. Like, I get it. But
A little boost up.
yeah.
But, like, spent his early years fighting to get One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest made.
Hmm.
and then won an Oscar for producing it.
Yeah, which is insane to think about. Um, spends some time out on the wild, breaks through with Wall Street, and becomes like everyone's favorite symbol of greed. Becomes the sex star of Hollywood with Fatal Attraction and Basic Instinct, and I'm like, how the fuck did that happen?
Yeah. That's sort of just what an interesting come up for him. Really good actor. It's not.
Right.
I promise my point is not a critical one. It's
Right.
just like, huh.
Marries Catherine Zeta-Jones, gets throat cancer from eating her out too much,
Boy, it's really going to be incredible in the edit deciding if that makes it into the video.
and then retires on Quantumania. He's like, fuck this, I'm out.
I'm done. That's it for me.
It's a really discouraging note to end on, but I would also quit too. I would have
Yeah.
quit if I was Catherine Newton after that movie.
I, I mean, he's quit. Evangeline Lilly quit. Jonathan Majors has been banished to the Shadow Realm, never to return. Just
It
like
was
maybe
quite.
he's a career killer.
I like how the implication is that Quantum Mania is what killed Jonathan Majors' career.
It could not have helped. It could not
Well,
have helped.
no.
I mean, it definitely did not because everyone was like, wow, this character is fucking lame.
honestly, they might have been saved a little bit there, in a
Yeah.
way. By
I
not
mean,
by
I
not hinging this on that villain, they're like, oh, you know what?
another doing something way dumber but inherently more interesting.
yeah, the
Um,
whole bleeding out to death. Looks like F4 might not even cross 500 million.
That's tough.
fuck them.
Could couldn't have happened
Uh,
to a better guy.
Yeah.
yeah, it's just like what if they made the movie to where like Thanos gets fucking bodied by Captain America on like his second go around? What if that was the structure of the first MCU arc? Really great stuff, Kevin. In fact, no, that's not even a good parallel because you like Ant-Man killed that motherfucker with ants. At least Captain America would have like fist fought Thanos and would have been like, okay,
It,
he's a
it,
super soldier.
it is deeply funny that they were like, oh, wait, no, we have a backup of Kangs. We have thousands of Kangs. Except they all have this actor space that we can no longer use.
Tough.
Absolutely brutal state of affairs. But no, Basic Instinct, great movie.
That is some real cinema.
And that's about it all on my end, except for the movie that we're going to be talking about.
Yeah. So can we rewind? I want to go back to 2022, and I want to remember where exactly we all were when Barbarian hit the streets. Did you guys see like a trailer for Barbarian?
I did
Yeah,
not.
I
I
did.
didn't. I heard. I think I don't want to be like Cole was the first person I knew that saw it, but you were one of the first people that I knew who was
Mhm.
like very vocal about it.
Yeah.
And the buzz there from you was like, don't look up shit. Just go walk into this thing and do what you're gonna do.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I told you don't even look at a poster. If I find out you looked at a poster, I'm going to yell at you.
Kind of a legend making moment a little bit for Zach Cregger to be like, okay, what the fuck is this gonna be? Oh, that's that guy from The Whitest Kids You Know. Oh, geez. And a repeated series of kind of those sorts of moments, having no context for that movie. And I haven't rewatched it. I've seen Barbarian once. That whole first third, or I don't really know how much proportionately it is, but it's like the first portion, the first story, where you're in the house with the girl and Skarsgård's there with her, and they're both like double booked at the same Airbnb. And it's like the whole tension tug of war thing that it's doing. I'm like, I don't know how well that would necessarily work on a rewatch, but it was just such an exciting, refreshing thing. And then
Mhm.
when this movie came up, obviously we talked about the peel. There was like a little bit more buzz around it, but then this trailer hit like a fucking bomb. Like unlike Barbarian, which I never saw a trailer for, I saw the trailer for this a bunch of times, and every single time I was like, "Give me this movie now, please." So I think that's just an interesting development for Zach Cregger, and before we even talk about what this movie is, I'm just curious how much this step builds his legend for what's the next thing he's got on the schedule? Is it the Resident Evil movie?
Resident
Hmm.
Evil.
Yeah. And then is he booked for anything after that, or that's
Not,
all we
not
know?
after that. He has a couple of original projects he's interested in. He also wrote a script set in the DC universe about a henchman who becomes famous after accidentally incapacitating Batman, which sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, apparently Joker and Harley Quinn would show up in it.
Mhm.
Which, I keep this man away from IP, but I'll see it.
Based on how he structures this movie, I can see how you would execute such a thing as that. Like
Yeah.
what the overall approach would be. But I won't go too far into that thought before we just get into this movie. But what a fun come up. I feel like just a guy who came out of nowhere, sketch comedy world, had done some stuff with like made some movie with Trevor Moore before he passed. But like nothing that you would ever like expect, and then all of a sudden kind of just bursts out of nowhere. I think the closest comparison would be like Jordan Peele, the guy that he got into the bidding war on the script and everything. I think that we could slot Barbarian as kind of the Get Out, and then this is kind of the Us in that trajectory. I don't think that that's way, way, way off base. Not that we have to like map it to that, but exciting to have somebody so forcefully enter the scene like that in a way.
Mhm.
And as someone as confident
Hmm.
immediately and assured in their own vision.
Maybe
Um,
another comparison would be Greta Gerwig, who obviously had
yeah,
done some earlier stuff, but then just Lady Bird, Little Women, Bang Bang And everybody's like, "Whoa, okay, hi." And then that third movie's Barbie, and the third movie here is Resident Evil. So
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something there. Yeah, my journey with Barbarian was one of my I was living I was in college at the time. I was living with three other people. One of them was like, "I've heard this movie's crazy. Let's go see it." And it was like a Thursday night or whatever. And then I got my skull cracked open by that movie. I don't think there have been movies that I have loved more, but I don't think anything has paralleled my absolute elation at the shift that occurs about halfway through Barbarian, to where we meet Justin Long singing Donovan's Ricky Tikki Tavi down the whatever freeway that is. Um, after the, spoilers for Barbarian, you know, Bill Skarsgård gets his skull smashed in by Mother, uh, and then immediately Ricky Tikki Tavi.
right.
And just the absolute elation I felt in my brain of
That's
truly
one.
having no idea, not even like
That
a
could take you anywhere.
sprinkling of where this movie was gonna
You could have
go
a fully
later
Yeah.
on.
separate plot that never came back to that house. Of course it does,
Yeah.
but you don't know that. You have no idea. You're just, where the fuck am I?
Yeah, and that's additionally maybe the funniest movie of the past 5 years to me. I like just Justin Long measuring that evil basement. He's like, oh, there's good like square yardage here. Like, oh my God.
For me, it's when he tries entering the password, tries entering it again, and then just throws the computer at the wall.
It's absolutely no notes. Um, it was a movie that I had to watch
And of course,
again.
his comeuppance in that movie is just perfect.
Yeah, God. So yeah, obviously weapons. After that, stark announcement of Arrival. I heard about it, that it was coming through the grapevine. Heard that the bidding war happened, and then trailers and posters start dropping. If it weren't a year where Paul Thomas Anderson was dropping his first movie in 4 years or whatever, that this would have been my most anticipated release of the year. Just
Mhm.
for someone who clearly knows how to play with structure, who knows fully how to integrate scaring the shit out of you and making you
Mhm.
laugh. Sometimes at the same time, it's a tone that he carries on here in Weapons from Barbarian, in a more balanced fashion, but it's still
Yeah.
definitely there. And in a way that's not exactly like anything I've ever seen. Like there's horror comedies like Evil Dead 2 or Return of the Living Dead, where this scary part of them is like they're gory and like occasionally really disarming, but you're never like all that tense during them.
Because that laughter, yeah, does tend to break the tension up.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then here in with Zach Cregger in Barbarian and a couple times during Weapons, I am laughing because it's funny, but also out of sheer discomfort. It's like a tonal bit of wizardry that I can't think of anything else really using this effectively. I was over the moon for Barbarian. I'm even more over the moon for Weapons here. It's just like startlingly not a I guess I mean it's not an IP, so that counts really well for original these days. But it feels very like unbelievably uncharacteristically fresh
Hmm.
in a way that similar to Get Out did at that time. But even I would argue this feels fresher in certain ways, and less fresh in other ways.
Which is
I
interesting because this movie does feel very novelistic, not just because
Totally.
it
Yeah.
literally has, like multiple different chapters, but
Right.
just the way that the story is constructed and told really does feel like, like, oh, Stephen King wrote this like 40 years ago, and you
Right.
could totally buy that if someone told you this.
Thinking about that trailer and my own anticipation, this would have ranked really highly. For instance, like I was interested in 28 Years Later because what is that supposed to be? And it has like a cool trailer. And this I was just fully like, yeah, I'll be there as soon as I can be there type of thing. And part of it is that it just has this really chilling premise, which is from all the trailers, the big tagline on the poster, the beginning of the movie. It's narrated out for you. there's a strange happening in this small little Pennsylvania town where one night at 2:17 a.m., a number of children, all from the same classroom, all wake up in the middle of the night, walk out the front door, and run away. And they don't run away in like a sneaky, crafty way. They just burst out the door and beeline it into the fucking dark. Yeah, doing the little like Naruto plain arm run, which great creative choice. Obviously wonderful for marketing, immediately recognizable, iconic, like what's going on here? So there's
Yeah.
this unexplained mystery. What the fuck are you even talking about? That's really surreal and bizarre. And then the very adult fear. I knew Josh Brolin was in this from the trailer, obviously, and you could he's one of the parents of the kids who goes missing, and he's in the conference and he's yelling and screaming, which is right at the beginning of the movie. And it feels like Hugh Jackman in Prisoners because it touches into this very deep-seated adult anxiety of like my helpless child has gone missing and I don't know where they are. And that's like so we just have this like really really strong idea from the outset with enough little like tweaks and twists to go like even if you do nothing with this material, it's pretty interesting. I was thinking about like with the movie Together how there's kind of a fun little on the napkin pitch of like, okay, it's like a boy and a girl, and they're a couple, and they're codependent on each other, and they start getting like their bodies are sticking together, and it's like a representation of codependency. And that's an idea that doesn't have very far to go. Weapons has such a like rich, even if all we did was sit with these characters, you end up with The Leftovers, which is one of the great TV shows of the 2010s. Like it's just a really, really good idea. And
Mhm.
then and I think one of the things that's the most impressive about it is that if that is all you know about this movie, you don't know shit about the movie. Like you don't have a clue what the fuck is about to like come hit you in the face. And it's kind of impressive that he's able to do that, even though I knew the pitch from the beginning. Whereas I had no idea what the pitch of Barbarian was, so I was giving him a clean slate to show up and surprise me, and then he does that thing which Morgan was talking about, the pivot. And then this movie does the same thing in spite of the fact that you might think you understand where
Right.
this movie's going. And I think that may lead to some heightened expectations of like, this is what this movie's going to be about. This is what this movie's going to deal with. And I think you, if for some reason you're still listening to us right now and you haven't seen this movie, I would crumple up your expectations. I would just put them to the side and just go experience it. I would give the same advice as I did for Barbarian. It's not that it would be wrong to watch the trailer or know the concept. Just don't let your brain run away too much with what you think is about to happen in this one because it's not.
Yeah, an
Yeah.
interesting thing that Cregger has noted is that one of the inspirations for this movie is not the Needful Things movie, the adaptation of Stephen King's novel, but the Needful Things trailer, because he saw that trailer, built a movie in his head, and then did not see that movie when Needful Things came out. Um, so this movie is not his explicitly his effort to make the movie that he saw in his head when the trailer for that movie came out. Um, but that DNA is there, and
Mhm.
it's
I
just
think this might set you up for the expectation, and I guess moderate spoilers if you've never seen this movie, that it's going to be like Adam McGoyan's The Sweet Hereafter, and it is not that. It's not
no.
that.
There's a couple chuckles in this film, and I can't imagine there are any chuckles in Adam Egoyan's The Sweet Hereafter.
Um,
Not
um,
many. Not the way that there are here.
Not really.
But yeah, that's just to give we like just a little bit of that plot summary. The main gist, or at least the starting point, I don't know that I would call it the main gist. The starting point, which I thought was going to be maybe a little bit this is where I got myself caught. I thought this was going to be a little bit more about Julia Garner's character, Mrs. Gandy or Miss Gandy, who is the teacher of the classroom where all the kids went missing. Because I think
Mhm.
it's 17 kids that go missing, and all of
Yeah.
them are from her class. And
Mhm.
so immediately there's like this crater of suspicion that forms around her. She's just as completely in the dark as everyone else is, which you're very confident of. There's never a point when the movie even tries to remotely let you believe that she's done anything, right?
Yeah.
That she's in any way responsible. And
Mhm.
instead it immerses you in the anxiety of like, well, what the fuck am I gonna do? Everybody wants to throw rocks at me and I can't do anything and I didn't do anything Ah, and
Maybe less rock throwing and more burning at the stake.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But that's really only the starting chapter. Like that's really just the starting point of where everything gets rolling. And I guess with that, it's probably important that we call out from here. I don't know that we can have anything like a spoiler-free conversation. To talk
Oh,
about
Yeah,
anything
for
that
sure.
happens
we
after that
we
point
are
is like,
spoiling the fuck out of this movie because
sorry.
it
Yeah,
used
I
to be
mean, this will,
Amy Madigan. So
Yeah,
spoiler
this
against on
will,
this
this will.
movie.
Riley got out to see this fucking movie. I think
yeah,
everybody will
yeah.
have been out to see it by the
Everybody who
time
cares.
we
But
get this
yeah,
up.
just worth saying that's out there. I
Yeah.
will say, so it's pretty immediate that we're doing like a chapter structure. Like it gives you the title cards with the character names. So we start off with Justine, which is the Julia Gunner character. Then we move to Josh Brolin's character, whose name I actually don't remember. What's his name?
Archer
Like
Graff.
Jake or something? Archer. And then we move through a couple other characters. I just want to kind of stop because this specific thing, for whatever reason, has garnered 100,000 comparison. If everybody wants to come up with a comparison for what this chapter structure reminds them of,
It's easy notes. It's just easy note taking for people.
And it
yeah,
feels so distinct compared to every other Hollywood picture that's
there.
not made by Quentin Tarantino in the
Thank
last
you.
30 years.
You said the name that was on my brain because everybody's like Magnolia. I'm like, I don't remember Magnolia being like this, but I do remember Pulp Fiction being like this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it
way.
was his I watched his interview with Sean Fennessy and Sean mentioned Pulp Fiction and Cregger's words were like, I didn't think about that at all, but that movie like changed my life when I saw it, so it's definitely like hard coded into
Yeah,
Yeah.
everything I will do. And it's even there in Barbarian.
yeah.
Hmm.
And
Definitely.
that's the other thing. The movie that it's most similar to me is Barbarian. Barbarian's just like this. It does the same thing. It's just kind of an evolution and an expansion of what that first movie was already doing. It's on
Yeah.
a grander scale. There's more characters. We're maybe a little bit more communally rooted. Although Barbarian is very much about this house in a Detroit neighborhood, and we see the past of the house and all that stuff. So really, it's similar there too. And just like, this is like I said, I think this is in Pennsylvania and you get the sense that it's an affluent community, like all the kids and the houses. Like I remember thinking that Josh
Oh,
Brolin lived
yeah.
in a pretty fucking nice house. Although
Oh,
he's
Yeah,
like
and
a
he's
contractor, he builds
yeah.
houses,
He's in
yeah.
construction. So
But
so he should have a nice
the
house.
he was clearly like the foreman
Yeah.
there.
yeah.
So,
But the point being it was, maybe when you see Alden Ehrenreich's place when he meets up with his blonde girl, that looks a little bit smaller. But it's like affluent characters, but it's definitely in this very blue collar Pennsylvania town, probably best represented by the character who's running around doing drugs in the tent
Yeah. Julia Garner had way too nice of a house for a teacher.
for
If
a
I'm being
teacher.
that
Yeah.
is questionable.
But it's also a place where, if we're assuming that it is Pennsylvania, like the real estate's probably cheaper there. Uh,
True.
I don't know that like this is jumping too far ahead, but I think that that's a thing between these two Cregger movies. A lot of people know sketch comedy background. There's a certain sketch comedy characteristic to these scenes, like the degree of willingness to be like, all right, new scene, we're completely starting over with new characters, is sketch comedy-esque. Even
Mhm.
though it all wraps back around, like the willingness to just say, I will sell you on a setup in 5 seconds or less is that background. But I really see it in the thematic way, like the thematic inclinations of these movies, where over a given scene, I will pepper 100 ideas into the scene. It's not really about those. It's about what the characters are doing. It's about the scenario that I'm putting you through. But in
Yeah.
in the meantime, like I'm just thinking about Barbarian. Barbarian is not a movie about Reaganomics. It's not a movie about the housing crisis. But it is a movie that has those things in it. Those anxieties run through the movie. There are things that it touches on. It is a movie about what is happening down in this fucking basement. But there's all this other stuff that he manages to kind of like touch upon through the variety of scenes that he's willing to write and direct. And I think that's really interesting in a ecosystem where we have a lot of this is the symbol of the movie and this is what it means. There's not so much of that with him. He's way more open-ended on that part.
Yeah. I mean, this movie has a dream sequence in which there's like a giant AK-15 floating over a house. And when he's been asked about it, he's like, I don't know. I don't know what that means. I just put it fucking in there. it's open for your interpretation.
The movie's
But
called Weapons, so figure it out, dickhead.
Yeah, I mean, when you see the trailer and you see the panning shot of the empty classroom, and then the movie is called Weapons, your brain, and I would caution you against going too far with this in terms of your expectations, but your brain starts thinking about school shootings. Or maybe it starts thinking about COVID, I think, at other points as well. There's a certain, like, in that opening montage where the little girl is like narrating to you, yeah, like all these kids disappeared and they had to shut the school down, but then we had to open the school back up because life had to go back to normal, even though kids died. It like it's clearly drawing on those real world situations and anxieties.
it's stuff that
It,
you can all read into, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend taking all the way with it.
Agreed.
yeah, it's about the school shootings and COVID in the same way that They Live is about Ronald Reagan's America.
That
You
is
know,
a
Mhm.
perfect line to line where it's totally got these things on its mind, but it's about this. It's about this thing that's happening, and
Mhm.
the fractured structure is part of that because it's about taking you as the audience member on a journey where I can't know what's going to come next because he's going to rotate me into some new
Yeah.
angle, and I'm
Mhm.
like, I'm just walking in blind now.
And that's part of the fun. Like you're just constantly getting thrown about trying to figure out what the hell's going on.
it's interesting to me to note that this, something that Cregger has talked about publicly in the run up to this movie is that someone very close to him passed away very suddenly.
Mhm.
That person being Trevor Moore of The
Yeah.
Whitest Kids You
Right,
Know.
right.
Um, and he wrote this movie in the aftermath of that and found the story on like a word by word basis almost.
I
I
think
guess
he
some,
became the movie's release date, right?
Yeah.
yeah. It's one, it's interesting to me that his impulse is to go so structurally ambitious with it in something that apparently, by his own admission, came to him in such a stream of consciousness sort of way.
Yeah.
I think that's where like you see that like Pulp Fiction and Tarantino is so hard encoded into just the way that he operates. But this is like an antidote to the wave of elevated grief horror
Hmm.
that has been happening,
Yeah.
for the past half a decade plus. Um, and because the movie is about grief very strongly.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, one, it's a lot of fun to watch. It is not like the long dark night of the soul that Ari Aster has repeatedly thrown together, and like so many other, elevated horror filmmakers have aimed
The
for.
824 machine.
But this movie is also, again, so much more structurally compelling than any
Mhm.
of those movies.
Yeah.
And within that structure, there's so much more room for variance of emotional response. And I find that keeps so much, A, it keeps the movie kind of unpredictable, even when you have a good grasp of what's going on in regards to the mystery. And B, just he's playing with the form of the movie, he's playing with the structure, but he's playing with you, the audience member. Like
Mhm.
the scene that I was thinking of that I mentioned earlier, where I was both really unnerved and laughing at the same exact time, is when Alex Lily's mother comes out of the front door with the scissors and sneaks into Julia Garner's car while she's sleeping and just cuts her hair. It's
The
like a
car.
it's like a 3 minute scene that I laughed through almost all of because I didn't know what else to do. It's like
Yeah.
if you change the tone of the movie at all, or that the tone of the scene at all, it's absolutely hilarious. And if you shift
Mhm.
it 90 degrees in the other direction,
Yeah.
it's mortifying. And it
Mhm.
sits in this perfect zone in between those two things where I am cackling because this actress is giving an incredible physical, like slapstick performance, but she is a woman coming out of a dark, newspapered up house, coming at this other woman who is asleep in her car with a sharp object. It's
Mhm.
like it's like but also LOL.
I've seen this movie twice, and that scene alone, people laugh awkwardly. when the door opens. They're like, oh no. And then they freak out when the mom walks out, all zombie-esque with the scissors. They laugh when she gets up to the car door and just like bumps against it and then walk off. And then when you hear the back car door opening, both times it sounded like someone fired off a shotgun in the auditorium. People freaked out. And then, she just cuts the strand of hair, and everyone's like, ugh, like just like audibly relieved that Mrs. Candy didn't get the axe.
I think one thing that I enjoy in both of these two movies, to speak to your idea, Morgan, about the emotional response in a given scene, is that he will draw the anxiety out of whatever happens to be going on at that time. Not all the anxiety is always drawn out of the central conflict per se. In this
Mhm.
movie, definitely that's true. So like at first it's Garner feels like the whole town is after her. Car's getting vandalized. Somebody's banging on her door. She feels like she's being watched. She's got this like paranoia to her, right? And then later in her conflict, it's like actually she slept with this guy's wife, or it's the other way around, this woman's husband, and now she's like coming at her in the liquor store, right? It's like she'll draw, Cregger in those scenes will draw the humor or the tension from whatever is the most available source at that time. So when the movie pivots to be about Ehrenreich's character and it gets into his segment and he's a cop, there's a particular moment he arrests this like junkie character who's been trying to break into a building and
Mhm.
he has him in the handcuffs and they're having like kind of a normal, like a pretty casual, cordial, nice exchange, considering one is arresting the other. And he's reaching into his pockets and he's like, there's nothing going to stick me in there, right? And he reaches in, and of course, he gets stuck in the finger with a needle, which is both funny, like he's going to super overreact to this and be like, ah. But at the same time, I have an anxiety about that. I'm like, ooh, I don't like that. I don't like that that just happened to you. Like,
No, yeah, I
and
think
that
I would have
has
punched the
nothing to do with
dude
the
too.
movie.
I was like,
And
ooh.
it has nothing to do with what the rest of the movie is about, but because that is the circumstance, will draw the anxiety and the comedy, all meat right out of whatever the scene content is, not just whatever the ideas are. And I think that sounds really stupid, right? Like it's just a director being a director, but I think that he's just uniquely suited to it. Like he'll
Well,
just
yeah,
bring you into the moment of whatever's happening.
it is
Yeah.
so much that sketch comedy training of like this is what's funny in this scene in this 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I
This
also
is
think
it comes over here and like this is what's scary and funny in this five
I,
minutes.
I don't have a greater conclusion to make here other than just drawing a comparison, but Pulp Fiction, as you were talking about it, and I was thinking about sketch comedy, it's 21 short films, or it might be 22 short films about Springfield. It's an episode of The Simpsons where it's like a riff on Pulp Fiction, kinda, because it focuses on a bunch of non-Simpsons characters.
Yeah.
And so it's like a sketch, it's an anthology.
Yeah. It's the whole 32 short films about Glenn Gould thing.
And I think like that's very Craig. I need Crager to just show up and make shortcuts is where I'm at.
Yeah.
Just make shortcuts.
I will say Paul's segment, the cop, this was the closest I think the movie gets to Magnolia.
Totally.
Just
Because it's
the,
John C.
Yeah,
Riley.
it's
by the
yeah.
character.
And Garner is a little Melora Walters.
And like the conflict of Riley losing his gun is very equivalent to like I punch this suspect in the face is,
Yeah.
that's another element of the movie too where I could see wanting more to be drawn out of it because it's like we're dealing with cops and violence and his alcoholism and just like down the list. But it's just Cregger is really much more interested in the idea that like all of these are regular people trying to live normal lives. There's like a weird fracture that happened, and now we're gonna walk along that fracture and see how everybody's doing with it. And the answer's not well.
Yeah. Everyone in this town is losing their minds.
Yeah. But not in a like overly over the
N-
top kind of way.
Not in an
Mhm.
Eddington way.
Yeah, it really does. It's funny how similar they feel. And I
Yeah.
think that both movies great like shortcoming kind of is that there could be more. We could get deeper into this stuff. And I think, Crager just goes this showmanship route. And if I were to say that both movies pass or fail based on how entertaining you feel they are. I think that would
Mhm.
be pretty honest. And then just ultimately, I just find this movie really entertaining.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
there's I also easily would have watched another half hour to 45 minutes of it. But also what's great about it is how relatively lean it is for being such a sprawling story.
Yeah.
Like it clocks in at like 2 hours and 9 minutes, which is
Mhm.
really impressive for something that wants to be as myopic as this.
Mhm. And
And
honestly, the second time I saw this movie, I was surprised at how fast it moved.
Yeah.
yeah, and because there's nothing here that doesn't feel essential. Like I feel like the most underdeveloped character that gets a chapter is Benedict Wong's character, but he is
Yeah.
like integral to like the center sequence of that movie.
Hmm.
I would also argue that while that's true, you never really spend a ton of time with him as a guy. He's always acting in capacity as the principal, whether you're looking at Gandhi or Archer or whoever. He's always putting on that hat. And as a principal, his hat is I have to be a little detached, but very professional and very like the scene where the aunt comes to his office and you can see him visibly be like, okay, I cannot be rude to this woman. I have to be nice to her. I have to be
Hmm.
kind, all of that nuance is there in his performance. And I think that helps a lot. And then we don't really get to see too much below because the one scene where we really get to see him chill, or two, I guess, because there's one in the grocery store, but he's on the phone with
Um,
Garner. So he's doing his whole routine with her, although it's starting to break apart because he's losing patience. And then the one scene where he's at home in the Mickey and Minnie t-shirts, which obviously very quickly goes a different direction.
can I please have a bowl of water?
Bitch, what did you say to me?
But this
Get
movie, uh,
out of my house.
this
Yeah, I
movie,
would have just
good.
this wouldn't have been a problem for me. She would have just had to
Yeah.
leave. Like, I'm
See,
Oh,
sorry.
I'm not clocked in right now. Get the fuck off of my property.
Right.
see, this
I got
movie's
hot dogs in the kitchen.
Yeah.
they had a whole lot of hot dogs on that tray. I'm just
It's like
saying,
it's like five or six hot dogs. Yeah.
it was a lot. But no, this movie's secret weapon, who shows up? I would guess I would say maybe the hour 15 mark. I didn't even know she was in this. Is Amy Madigan, who plays Aunt Gladys, the sickly aunt who comes to stay with Alex, the only surviving child of the classroom.
Yeah, a little bit of a buried lead there. Sorry. One of the
Yeah.
kids didn't go missing. What?
Spooky.
What a
But no,
great reveal that is in the movie, because I think all you see in the trailer is that shot of the empty classroom as it pans, but the shot
yeah.
keeps going in the movie until it
Mhm.
I had a
reveals
feeling.
Alex on the other side of
Before
that
that
shot.
happened, before I saw the movie, I had a feeling there would be one kid left over. There's a particular shot which happens in the movie from the trailer where she's having like a nightmare and you see the
Yeah.
kid in the clown paint and that's Alex. And I'm like, there's gonna be one kid. Like there's gonna be some quirk to this
Mhm.
where there's one kid left over. Which is
Mhm.
it's an interesting thing because immediately, like if you're the detective, you're like, well, okay, this probably continue the Amy Madigan. I have lots of thoughts about this character, and it's probably the part of the movie that I have the most negative thoughts about overall.
I love this character from top to bottom. So she enters the movie like a hurricane. She comes in, she's got this fucked up red wig with the micro bangs that like stop
Yeah,
right here.
Hellish.
looking like the
got
owner
this,
of the Las Vegas Raiders.
she's got this giant fucking Mary Poppins bag that she just carries around everywhere. The ridiculous
Corpse paint and
glasses,
like
paint, the like heavily smeared red lipstick.
right.
And you're wondering, like, what the hell is this character? What's she doing here? And then she barges her way into the principal's home, asking for a cup of water. She's like, "Oh, I'll bring in Alex's dad on Monday, and he can talk to you about everything, yada yada yada." Because she's like, "Oh, they're very sick. I'm taking care of them." Touch of consumption, Oregon Trail stuff, which is like first hint that something's not right here. And then what does she do? She takes a thorny stick, pricks herself on it. The stick is wrapped up with the ribbons from the principal's office. She takes a piece of his husband's hair, just snips it right off, wraps the hair around the stick, breaks the stick, and the principal goes into its tank zombie mode and bashes the guy's head in with his own skull.
Mr.
Great
Cregger
stuff.
has something against heads.
Yeah.
He likes to see them explode.
I
This
mean,
is later. This is the last chapter of the movie, or it's like the last titled chapter of the movie. But we see Alex's parents stabbing themselves in the face with forks, which is just a real like, what's with the face score in this movie?
I
That
mean,
was like, ugh.
everybody's sensitive about their faces,
Yeah.
uh, particularly
It's
Glass.
it's in it's in Barbarian too.
Yeah.
So he's got a preoccupation.
In
So,
this, if we use those two examples though, it's like the sort of mesmerism, hypnotism thing, the spell, the hypnosis, whatever it is it makes them so deranged that they're willing to headbutt somebody else's face with my head, willing to
mhm.
stab myself in the face. It's like their disregard for their own safety. There's also a vegetable peeler moment that happens
Aye,
very
aye,
near the
aye.
very end,
Fucking Evil Dead Rise type beat.
getting a
Uh,
little shave action.
no, this part of the movie is where David Ehrlich's description of this as sketch comedy cure really kicks in.
Yeah.
So if you haven't figured it out by now, it turns out that Aunt Gladys is a witch,
Yeah.
and she's coming to town because she's very, very sick. Um, but when you see her, like bald and all, what you really get is that she's old. She is old as fuck. She's calling the flu consumption. This woman is probably several hundred years old. And looks like time's run out for her. So what does she do? She moves into the house. The mom's like, "Oh, she's my mom's sister, allegedly. We should take care of
Yeah,
her."
I was gonna ask.
Don't invite family to stay. Send
I
send them
was
to
g-
the hotel.
I
But
was
I
gonna
mean,
ask if you guys interpreted that. It doesn't really matter, given what happens, whether it's true or not true. Do you think that's really her family, or did she just like find some people
I
and
think
said like, "I'm here now"?
I mean, you saw the way that she stormed into the principal's home. I think she just barges her way into anything and everything.
And did some mind fuckery to be like, "Yeah, I'm your aunt. Let
Yeah,
me in."
it's witchcraft, it's manipulation.
I'm just
Basically,
saying,
what
if I was one of Alex's parents, it wouldn't have gone down like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
basically what she's doing is hocus pocus. Like she is trying to get young again, whether for health reasons or not. So she is.
Unclear what her method is here. Like she's got
Hmm.
two people
Well,
under
she's a
mind
parent.
control. Yeah, right. But is she like sucking the energy out of them?
Yeah,
Like,
that's what I think it is. Because it's
yeah.
like, I mean, the principal and his husband are watching the nature documentary about cordyceps.
And you see the in Gandy's classroom, she's got to think about parasites as well.
Hmm.
Right. So she is draining the life force out of these people to try to make herself younger, which escalates to, "Oh, I'm draining the life force out of your parents, but it's not really doing enough for me. I need all your fucking classmates to like hang out in the basement and get sucked dry by me too."
Good stuff.
Yeah. It also
Yeah,
the cordyceps documentary would have been hilarious if this movie did have its original casting of
yeah,
favorite
of
Roland
Joel,
Wall.
Last of Us.
Yeah.
Let's find out. This movie had a completely different cast prior to the strikes. Brian Tyree Henry was going to be Benedict Wong's role. Pedro Pascal was going to be in the Brolin role, and Renate Reinsva would have been Justine.
That one's weird.
Yeah,
That's
it's
I like her. She's good, but like what? What
yeah,
do you mean?
I think that one would tap more into the xenophobia of suburban America.
Yeah, I really like where they land with this Julia Garner character in the sense that like she is an outsider. She's got a little bit of a past, which we find out from the scene where Josh Brolin is talking to the police captain played by Toby Huss.
Mhm.
Nothing that's like bad, but bad enough. Like she's
Yeah.
got an alcohol problem, which is she feels like the kind of person that is like a very functioning alcoholic who
Yeah.
probably doesn't even drink that much on a regular basis, but under this heavy duress is drinking real hard. And I think that they just
It's a
land in an
football.
interesting place with her character. She's got
Mhm.
the right amount of like flaws, but I know where she's coming from, but she's gonna put her foot in her mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I could easily see Reinsve in this role if she wasn't extremely Norwegian.
Yeah,
Because then it's literally like, I mean, why is my elementary school teacher in Maybrook, Pennsylvania, fucking Norwegian? What's that about?
yeah. I think
Why
there's
did you
other
come from
ways to play.
Oslo to teach in Maybrook? What's going on here?
Where she ran to after worst person in the world.
Yeah, I guess.
Er-
And
Everybody's got to
then
find their path somehow, I guess.
I've been strong on this. I do think this would have been the best Pascal of the year. And now that I've
Yeah.
seen it, I don't think it would move the needle too much one way or the other if he was much better or much worse. Ultimately, because the Brolin character is not quite what I thought was going to be happening with him. Because it
Mhm.
really lays it on like he's going to be, I'm going to trap this. My brain went right to prisoners. My
Yeah,
brain
it's
went
because
where he puts
Keller
fucking Paul
Dover.
Dano in the torture chamber, and I thought he was going to be doing some sicko crazy shit like that. And the movie sort of changes directions on you when Benedict Wong comes running down the fucking street like a crazy person.
I do think that Brolin has a masculine aggressiveness that Pascal does not have,
Agreed.
which I
Which
think,
which would have maybe made the Pascal character feel more like I'm being pushed to the edge, whereas like it doesn't feel like it takes much to push this Brolin character
no.
to the edge. And
I
now
think,
he's got so the event is enough to put one like normal all the way to
Mhm.
the edge. And here's this guy who doesn't take much to push to the edge, pushed
Right,
exactly that hard. Where's he gonna go with it? And that is
right.
just something you're living with for parts of this
Which,
movie,
which,
even if it's
which
not really what it's about.
which leads to the great reveal that like his son is the class bully.
Oh yeah, I mean obvious.
Yeah.
Like just see that coming from a mile away. Once it's revealed, I thought
The
maybe
bully had great taste, though. I mean, you saw that Fury Road poster in the bedroom, right?
Yeah, but there was a
right
Ready
next to
Player
the
One
Ready
poster
Player
right
One
next to it.
poster.
So
Okay, well, that's mixed taste, but, you know.
it is like the perfect encapsulation of what my taste was like at that age,
Of
though.
like being a teenage boy.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
what if I was Terminator 2 and also fucking
real steel.
yeah. Yeah, that's
Oh
about
god.
right.
Um,
Robots.
I think that the movie does a good job of once it reveals its hand.
Hmm.
That is the exact point when the face breaking, spurting, exploding, all the gross shit really ramps up. So
Yeah.
I think it knows that. But I
Hmm.
I I find and I had the same experience with Barbarian. First part of the movie, you're entirely just with this character. You don't know what the fuck is going on, but you have these innate anxieties that she's experiencing. Same thing here. And then we kind of pivot into other things, still interesting, still don't really know what the hell's going on. Once you find out what the hell's going on in Barbarian, there's not really much of it left. It's like 20 minutes. In this,
Hmm.
there's a longer period of time, but it's like that sense of the unknown that he is working so Cregger, I mean, is working so deftly around as a screenwriter and director is no longer really there. And then really it really comes to a head when that last chapter is like, okay, now here's what happened. Here's
Yeah.
the that of how all this got set up. And I think that has garnered some negative reactions. Like specifically, like I don't like how much this movie was explaining itself to me. Although it's a little overstated because it's really just showing you the plot. It's not like it's nobody
Yeah.
breaks out a
Yeah, I
chalkboard
mean,
like at the end of Us and goes, "Well, okay, Lupita Nyong'o, here's what's been going on in the underground space." Like there's none of that shit happening.
Gladys doesn't stop Alex one day and goes, "See, I'm taking these kids and I'm siphoning off their life force, is
Right.
what I'm
No,
doing
what you
here."
see is how she manipulates him through fear. I
Mhm.
can and will hurt your parents. You
Yeah.
see how,
I
and
can make them move each other.
this is one of the most fascinating things to me is that she seems to use that kid like a familiar. Like you need to be my living human with
Mhm.
your brain intact
He's fucking
sidekick
Renfield.
so that you can feed them
Yeah.
chicken noodle soup and probably clean the litter box.
Did no one
Yeah.
ever check like how much chicken noodle soup that kid was dragging home every single day?
Which is, some people have, they're neurodivergent and they get really strongly attached to certain foods. And I'm not talking about myself at all here, but
I
We
mean, the
could
cops in this movie are hapless as shit. So, you
yeah,
know.
I mean,
we
nobody's,
couldn't have gotten them some like Progresso,
mm,
like chunky.
But yeah, no, I love Amy Madigan's performance in this. she's playing it like a fairy tale villain, and she just nails that line between the fantastical and also the edge of very real terror.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The way that she
It's
talks to
something
the
that Cregger said in the Sean Fantasy interview, where he was like, if that's not Amy Madigan or an actor exactly as good or as well suited to that, the entire movie falls apart.
oh yeah.
So he
It,
was like, I got extremely lucky that this is exactly what I needed.
this entire movie hinges on that performance working, and she knocks it out of the park.
I do think like just to give I think a certain explanation as to where I feel like it deflates it a little bit is again, coming into it, the tension is between Garner and Brolin. Garner is this teacher who is innocent but is in a bad spot, and then Brolin who's like this anguished parent who has nothing to go on except this instinct. And because this other thing arrives, they're like allies by the end of it. And they're not even allies by the end of it. They're allies like an hour and 20 minutes into it when
Yeah.
Benedict Wong comes running to the gas station, which is an interesting left turn. Like I give Cregger credit for not just doing the predictable thing, but
Mhm.
there is a certain degree to which it's like, okay, the tension has kind of been removed because now we know who the bad guy is. But there still are these really clever things. Like for instance, so there's really in the middle a whole D plot about Alden Ehrenreich and this junkie and getting chased around, but it is the junkie who finds the house first.
Mhm.
And that felt very barbarian-esque to me, where it's like, oh yeah,
Uh,
this the most unreliable fucking guy who no
mhm.
one will ever listen to and will never be able to like actually help anyone is the one who found the
Yeah.
basement.
Played by Austin Abrams, who is hilarious in this movie. I love his phone call where he's like, I
Oh
don't
yeah,
So, how do I get that 50 grand?
yeah, I'm phobic. Um,
yeah. I
and
well, he's got that other
so,
conversation on the phone where he's like, "Well, no, I need money to get clothes because
yeah,
I need clothes for my interview. I can't pay you back to get the job until I have the job."
opening every single car door as he walks.
Yeah, yeah.
He can
And then
steal
stealing
something.
a $50 leap pad with a cracked screen.
Yeah, he's going to be the lead of Cregger's Resident Evil movie, which I find very exciting.
I think the third act of this movie is the least interesting part of it, primarily because of the inherent deflation in explaining a mystery. And,
Mhm.
the explanation is not like some mind-altering, never could have ever thought of, like the
It's not
explanations.
Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
because you
But
even
don't.
that,
and
and even
and
that,
that
the explanation is fairly simple. It's the fucking devil.
it's simple and it's basically the last thing in the movie that you experience. It's
Yeah,
like the
Yeah.
very fucking end. There
yeah.
is no point after that where you're really like, "Oh, it's just that final scene."
You don't even really like learn in detail like the spell she uses to get all the kids into the house.
But
You
it was
just
enough for Alex to be able to replicate it after seeing it done once. That
yeah,
kid kind of a stud, kind of the MVP,
I
yeah.
hold shit
He
down.
does a great
totally.
performance.
It's like the
Uh,
best child performance. I think it is like Osmond-esque to me in the Sixth Sense. It's not as much screen time, but
I'm gonna come
what's
back
there?
later on. I'm gonna come back to that in a minute.
Bird chef.
But him learning the spell because her arrogance, earlier on in his segment is that she shows him exactly how to do the spell, which leads to her downfall in this movie. So, which is the best bit of the entire film.
It's
It's
the moment that makes the identity of the whole thing the clearest.
yeah,
Because
it's
it's fucking hysterical. There is a literal sort of Wile E. Coyote runs over the cliff edge moment where she's like, "Oh, fuck," like, and realizes what has just happened. But
Mhm.
before we even get there, that entire sequence is hysterical.
It is.
Basically,
Fucking
Alden Ehrenreich,
throwing
yeah,
Austin Abrams.
Al Alden Ehrenreich, Austin Abrams have both been like hoodwinked, hypnotized. They're in there with the parents and the kids, hooked up to the witch's battery or whatever it is that she's doing with them. And Julia Garner and Josh Brolin pull up to the house. They see the cop car in front. Alden Ehrenreich comes out and just does like just does this like this fucking wave that made my entire
Yeah.
audience bust up laughing because it's just like
It,
he does another one when
it
he's
looks like
inside.
there's a puppet, there's a string, and it has been lifted.
Yeah,
And so
honestly,
she's kind of Home Alone the house where it's like if you cross these salt lines, the
Hmm.
the zombies are going to start attacking you. So she's got one in front of her room where Alex's parents will attack Alex if he crosses it, and then she's got these other ones where Ehrenreich and then Abrams attack. Yeah. And
Yeah.
Roland gets into the fight and hits him in the face so many times his hand starts hurting, and he just starts doing these like WWE fucking throws across the living room. Just throws that boy like four
Hit
separate
Archer with
times.
the people's elbow.
Oh man,
Which, of course,
gold,
so, Brolin discovering all the kids in the basement, which is
elite, elite jump
hilarious
scare.
and
She's for
terrifying.
real, like waiting in the corner, like
He didn't even have to be down there. She was just catching a vibe for the moment.
just just hanging around.
And
Yeah.
then like that whole thing again, the veggie peeler, but it just sort of ends with like Julia Garner blowing people's brains out.
Yeah.
She just like has a gun, she's just fucking shooting people.
It's like, I don't fucking know. Whatever.
This is earlier in the movie, but the Benedict Wong death is pretty
Oh,
spectacular as well. And he gets
like,
meat Joe blacked.
Yeah. Final Destination.
Whack, and then like his fucking head's missing. He looks like the girl in Hereditary.
yeah,
Yet
and
more head trauma.
hysterically screaming as she's standing next to her car after running him over. Hilarious. This movie ends on a Ferris Bueller bit, which running through the backyards of suburban America, screaming her head off as a mob of like 17 or 18 violent, rage filled zombie children literally burst through walls, doors, windows until they literally tear her body to fucking shreds with their bare.
It's it's so clearly the Polito death from Day of the Dead. Like it's the
Yeah.
exact
Hmm.
same setup.
Oh my god,
And like doing that with 8-year-olds is fucking funny.
the guy with the lawnmower.
That's the most like whitest kids you know moment in either of those
Where he like
movies.
kills the lawnmower engine.
Yeah. Like, huh.
Oh, it is such a fucking ride to just watch her run for her life. And there's like that one girl who like bursts through multiple windows, and you're like, how the fuck is she still going?
It's like a
Durable.
tracking shot where it's just like ba bang, ba bang,
Mhm.
ba bang.
And then
There's nothing more durable than a 9-year-old.
and then when they break down the garden gate, that's fucking
Yeah,
hilarious.
they're like up on so the whole thing just
I just want to know because these are all child actors. I want to know the mechanics of this,
yeah.
of explaining to a bunch of 9-year-olds, okay, you're gonna grab a old woman and literally rip off the top of her skull from her bottom jaw. Like, how do you explain this to children?
I wondered that when I was watching Todd Solondz's Happiness in that final father-son scene. Like, huh, who are the parents that said
Yeah.
okay and signed on the dotted line for this one?
I mean, I guess, you explained everything in detail, that removes like some of the possibly horrifying undertones of what you're doing. Like, oh, it's just, fake blood and, makeup and prosthetics and all that. But it's just it's hilarious and visceral to watch these children literally tear her body like pulled pork.
It's an interesting and effective inversion of the anxiety the movie starts off with, where it's like, oh, the missing kids, where have they gone? What's happened to them? To then be like, they're ripping the woman apart.
Yeah, no. If you want to say that Eddington ends up being about the terror of AI data centers, this movie reveals itself to be about the fact that old people just won't fucking die anymore. This movie's about
Yeah.
Congress
And
Democrats.
they wield a disproportionate amount of power
Yeah, no,
in our
no,
communities.
no. Here's how Gladys is actually Nancy Pelosi. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
She's clearly never mind. It's just it doesn't.
I
No,
do think for me, the comedy of this movie, maybe just because the ending of it hinges itself so much on the comedy being effective. Like by the end, a lot of that like horror stuff, there's some anxiety about like, oh, what if this happens or what if that happens? But we really have moved to more of like a all out silly kind of mode. that we leave those sort of like thrills and the tension kind of in the first part of it. So I guess my brain, maybe because that's true, ultimately thinks that the comedic aspects of this movie are probably working a little bit better for me than some of the horror and thriller stuff. I mean, I like the kind of like gross out qualities that it has for sure. I'm trying to think. There were definitely some things early on. I don't know if it's like the dream sequence or something where like Brolin comes in and he looks at the boy in the bed and it's like panning and you just fucking you know it's gonna be something, then it's like the clown face thing and he wakes up, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's like the really starry eyes that his son has. That's such a great unsettling detail. But yeah, no, Gladys showing up in the dreams is terrifying.
That bitch hanging from Julia Garner's ceiling. I hate that. Get out of
You know,
my house.
even his dark doorways, like Cregger really knows how to get the terror of a house with the lights turned off.
Hmm.
I can't
And
wait to see his basement sequence in Resident Evil. It's gonna go insane. Because we got to the basement sequence in this movie, and it's literally like the same kind of basement that it was in Barbarian. And I was like, oh, not this shit again. Not too many basements in California.
yeah, not a lot.
But in Pennsylvania, yes.
Yeah.
You know, and they're full of missing.
I wonder in my mind how Josh Brolin was able to figure out if my kid went this way and their kid went this way, it's somewhere in here, and the police did not get that far.
Well, again, the cops in this movie are so fucking dumb.
Yeah,
Just
true.
asleep at the wheel.
Well, and
There's a lot.
credit to the script because they do explain at one point that she has all the kids leave the day that the cops come check out their house. So like whether or not they would have pieced that together, they did check their house because this is the
Yeah.
most likely suspect, and she
Yeah.
did some witch shit to make it, you know.
I love that look she gives when she's like basically shooing the investigators into the kitchen and the living room, and then she looks up the stairs to look at Alex, and her smile turns into like don't you fucking dare. Girl wanted to be young, but it didn't work out.
Did not.
You
Is
should have
this
just
what
taken substance; it'd be less complicated.
is this what Madonna's been doing?
If it has, if it is, honestly, it's worked well for her. She looks.
Also, just gotta say, to back up my King comparison, the kids leave at 2:17.
It was something in the music. There's some music thing that was happening that was making me like this like stringy shining stuff, but I can't remember what was happening in the scene. It was also Shining-esque, but I can't
Yeah,
remember now.
Cregger has a credit for the score of this as well. He
Oh,
worked with
interesting.
some guys he's in a band with, he said.
I
And
do
it's
love how
like,
fair the score is in this because you've got like that shining inspired, you've got a more ominous tone. And then for the junkie scene, you almost have like a club beat when he's being chased by the cop.
Yeah, a lot of visually inventive stuff, and that was true in Barbarian as well, where it'll like switch to a completely different type of digital camera. There's like, and it's small, but there's like one point where he's just got like the camera on the door, and like the door's being closed, and so you get like swung around. It's like
Mhm.
Breaking Bad shit. Breaking Bad would do camera setups like that in certain scenes or sequences, where it'd just be like, what if we shot this from inside the refrigerator? You know, just shit like that.
I'm like, yeah, of course.
Great use of ring cameras in this.
Yeah, for sure.
In the group chat of the people I saw this with, I got sent two separate videos of the people running in their ring cam videos with their arms spread out in the middle of the night.
People were doing that when I walked out of the theater. People were like running out of the theater into the
Yeah.
rest of the Americana, Naruto run, and all that. Oh my
I
God,
do think there are some Benedict Wong things here that are bound to become memes, namely his face.
for sure.
Yeah.
But I wanted to come back to that point I was hinting at earlier when you
Oh,
brought
about
up
the kid.
the kid being Haley Joel Osment X almost. And I do wonder a little bit if Cregger is the new Shyamalan. And
Which,
yeah, I mean, with
yeah, yeah.
I,
stuff about
one of my
the do not spoil the movie as you go in,
No, that's valid. Yeah, I'm
yeah,
with you.
preserve the experience.
His
These,
have,
version of old would have been fucking hilarious.
oh my God, I would have
yeah.
died. need it now. Blending the sort of mix of horror and comedy,
Strong
and
Pennsylvania focus.
yeah,
Supernatural elements, but not like you're starting from like a grounded place, you know.
yeah,
It's normal stuff and then some weird shit starts happening.
and just like Shyamalan, divisive hype cycles as always.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
What remains to be seen. I guess Resident Evil will be an interesting.
Mhm.
I don't, Morgan, you may know this better than any of us. He's not adapting a game there, right? He's just
New,
writing
no.
a script and it's
Weird, yeah.
called Resident Evil,
Yeah.
whatever that means.
Which if you're gonna do that, that has proven to be the best way to adapt a video game, with the Fallout TV show and the Cyberpunk anime being completely
Mm,
original stories. Yeah, I think Cole's comparison and the question that it raises of is this guy the next Shyamalan is buoyed by the fact that one of my first reactions upon leaving the theater, I sent in our Discord chat that M. Night Shyamalan is a hack and he always has been. So, you know.
well, he still had Sixth Sense. I mean,
Yeah, it's good. It's
I think
decent.
if anything, Shyamalan's like a case of falling victim to the outsized expectations that people put upon you. Because
Yeah.
they're advertising him in the trades as the next Spielberg. Like that's not going to be great for anyone mentally.
Right. When the run up to Signs, I think.
Yep.
So
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
literally you're on your third, well not he'd made movies before that, but like your third
Major
step
feature.
up to bat. Yeah, exactly. And I could see that. I could see that with Cregger. Like, we've had these two movies, they've got these similar aspects. Is this now like is this what you do? Is this the
Mhm.
brand?
Yeah, and this one's like in full on breakout stage. I mean, it made more money domestically this weekend than Barbarian did it across its entire run in the US.
Yeah.
And Barbarian, at least relative to its budget of like less than 5 million, made
Mhm.
that back like 10 times over or
Yeah.
something.
And this will absolutely make its budget back
Mhm.
over and over. Great weekend for June Diane Raphael, by the way, who's in this as Donna, the cop's wife, and is in Freakier Friday.
Oh, yes. Movie of the summer. Freakier
I
Friday.
I
Lindsay
I
Lohan.
I'm so shocked that that wasn't a Disney Plus straight to streaming
Yeah,
I
right.
thing.
think I think it
But
was
like,
originally, and they were like, we should put this in theaters,
yeah,
and it seems to have paid off. So
it's a lot of nostalgia that I don't understand about that movie.
good for Lindsay Lohan. I'll always be happy for Lindsay Lohan.
She looks great in that trailer.
Yeah. Also, that trailer is hilarious. This is completely pedantic, but the scene in that trailer that happens at a record store is actually a record store that I go to all the time.
Hmm.
What was it? Oh, it's the new Colleen Hoover movie has a scene in the trailer that's visibly at an AMC. Like there's a poster in the background that's like we make movies better and it's got the numbers on the wall. I was like, "Oh dude, this could be at the AMC Stonebriar."
Hmm.
Regretting you.
Embarrassing stuff.
If we have to rely on Hoover adaptations, we are in trouble.
In
Co-
trouble.
Colleen Hooter.
It's late. Well, it's not late.
It's later for me.
It's spiritually, it's late. And I don't like her, so there's that.
Yeah.
When did you see this? Did you see this a second time today? Yesterday?
So I
Recently?
saw this on Thursday night.
Hmm.
We went to an 11:40 showtime. We basically got out at 2:17
Oh
a.m.
yeah, I bet.
And then I saw this again on Friday night.
Okay, yeah. I saw it Friday before Clueless.
Yeah, so we did like a double dose, and it was really fun to see the second time how everything interconnects and like maybe a couple of details that I missed the first time around.
Mm-hmm.
I was a little worried, honestly, about that rewatch factor. I was like, is this going to have much rewatch
I have
factor?
that with Barbarian for sure. I feel good about this. It's so damn confident. Like
That's
it just takes you right into the story. You're like, okay, here we
it.
are. Hi.
And then it takes you out like almost immediately. They're like, oh yeah, the kids got picked up. Who knows if they'll ever talk again? But hey,
Yeah.
and
Barbarian got better for me on second watch.
It does
I
feel like a little slice of like urban legend storytelling. Like, oh
yeah,
yeah, do you guys ever hear the story about da 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 da?
Yeah.
yeah. I've only seen Barbarian the once in theaters, but I will have to revisit at some point just to
Yeah,
see it again.
yeah. About did a dance when Justin Long showed up in this.
I had to keep from cheering.
I knew
Yeah,
it would be him too. As soon as you're up there with the wife, and she's
yeah,
talking, and there's like a point when another car pulls up. You're like, oh, that's gonna be Justin Long.
yeah. My audience cheered both times when
Yeah,
Justin pulled me out.
the barbarian fans in
The
the crowd.
the people's champion.
Yeah,
And that's also just a hilarious detail on Roland's character is that he talks to the wife and then waits for the husband.
yeah, amazing. Pouring over ring camera footage, but yeah, this was
Standing there fucking
Comfortable to
fuming.
rewind.
ah well, yeah, Zach Cregger, Weapons.
I like that guy. He's got a future in this industry, I
Good
think.
movie. Real good movie.
So I think that about wraps us. Again, next week we'll be talking about at least Spike Lee, highest to lowest. I'm seeing that
Yeah.
Tuesday. You guys all seeing that next week?
I should be good for Friday or Saturday of next week,
Yeah,
seeing that.
I think, yeah, I'll be seeing it next weekend for sure.
yeah, and that'll break us into a discussion of Akira Kurosawa, particularly focused on Throne of Blood and Ran. So that's what we have coming up for you, and then probably some more stuff as we break into the fall. And that's it. So thank you guys so much for listening. And Cole, Morgan, thank you both.
Ciao.
Bye, everybody.